Hey,
Hey,
hey.
Hey,
A's for horses.
glasses for
Horses,
people.
I tell you.
Perfect time. The Grinch just finished on CBC. There we go. Hey, good stuff, Chris.
Was
We
it
don't want to fall behind. Chris Baldock said that.
the cartoon Grinch
The
or
Grinch,
the
yeah, the Grinch that
Jim
stole
Carrey
Christmas.
Grinch?
1966. The
Wow.
19,
Oh, that's the
1966
cartoon
one.
Grinch.
Yeah, yeah. And we can't miss that one for sure. Charlie Brown's the next one that you can't miss. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. They banned that in a lot of places, eh?
What?
Charlie Brown, that Charlie Brown Christmas.
Really?
Yep. Look it up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some
Good thing
stuff
I
going
got
on. I don't know.
Good thing I got the VCR version. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Hey! First of all, I'd like to welcome back my two regular co-hosts, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moonshot Observatory in beautiful Hampton. Hey, Paul.
Hello, hello, hello.
And Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Mike, good evening, sir.
Here. Hello, hello,
Hey. Okay, on tonight's program, we're less than a month before Christmas, so we thought it was time to offer a little bit of a talk about optics, first of all, on telescopes, and then we're going to get into some suggestions that you can send to Santa a little bit later on. But this week it's got optics themselves, binoculars, and types of optics for telescopes. Next week we're going to talk about mounts and maybe the smart scopes that are out there as well. And then the following week we're going to do accessories like books and bright flashlights and that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll have everything covered over the next 3 weeks. Also tonight, Mike is going to return with his binocular target of the week. Paul's going to have another interesting Rosanna's fun fact. Also, another segment from the book Night Watch. I'll offer a quick look at what's up in the sky this week, and of course your wonderful photo submissions. So sit back and enjoy. Remember, this is a family-friendly, live, interactive broadcast. Please share if you can. That'd be great. And let's get started, guys. Mike?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes. That time of year again when we're all spending money. It's like, put the cash away, get the credit cards out, let's have some fun. So, like everybody else, to get that major question, it's coming up on Christmas. My kids want a telescope. What should I get them? Or what should I get? What kind of telescope should I get? So I put a little presentation here together last week, and I posted it actually on Facebook. I kind of revamped it just a wee bit, but I'll show a little bit of it here. Let's see if that comes up. You should have it there.
sir.
What should I get for Christmas? Binoculars or a telescope? I'm going to say binoculars, but the big question, and we get asked it all the time, is what telescope should I purchase? And my answer, after much discussion usually, is why don't you purchase a pair of binoculars first? And people say, why? And I say, well, if you don't enjoy endless hours under the night sky with a pair of binoculars, don't invest in a telescope. It'll just end up in the closet as a coat hanger or something. Because, you got to enjoy the night sky. You got to enjoy getting out first. And a pair of binoculars are awesome to start with. So, again, that's what I suggest you start with. So the average beginner telescope, if you go to a department store, which now, especially in our area, you don't have a whole lot of place to shop unless you shop online. In the department stores, they offer scopes, but when you look at them, usually they have a focal length of around 500 millimeters or so. Number one, if it says 675 power, yeah, don't buy it. It's garbage. That's just a Trump advertisement as far as I'm concerned. If they supply a mount with the scope, usually they're too late and very unsteady. The optics might be nice, but you'll find out that it's a cheap mount that usually comes with these department store ones. And the eyepieces are not quality good eyepieces. I mean, they usually give you like a 20 millimeter and a 10 millimeter or something like that. And they're rather cheap optics. So you're not getting a good, as far as I'm concerned, your bang for the buck out of it. A 500 millimeter refractor, usually, again, they put them on a cheap mount. Skywatcher has one that's a 70 millimeter, actually, or 70 millimeter aperture with a 500 millimeter focal length on an AZ3 mount. They come with two eyepieces. You think that's a good buy for $294 plus tax. And, maybe it is. Or you come across a reflector. A 500 millimeter reflector focal length is usually like a 130, which is a 5-inch reflector. Nice scope usually, but again, you get 2 eyepieces with it, and they're not very good. And you get a tacky mount. Usually, they try to get you into an equatorial mount that's an EQ1, and anybody that tried to actually use an EQ1, yeah, they're virtually impossible. They look good standing in the corner of your office or something, but I find that they're not very good usable out at night in the dark. But you can get a nice little setup there for around $351 plus tax. Or there's a binocular option. And look at this. You can buy a 25 power by 70 millimeter aperture on sale at Canadian Tire. You can get the Celestron's 25 by 70s right now for $132. So then you add a binocular mount to that, a nice steel one that you can get on Amazon, costs you about $36, $37. And a steady camera tripod that you can get for, in the vicinity of $60, $70. And the total thing still adds up to cheaper at $264 plus than it would be to buy one of these department store telescopes. And trust me, you'll get a lot of use out of a pair of 25 by 70 binoculars. The moon looks incredible in them. They are a bit heavy, so they should be mounted on a tripod, but you can hold them for a short period of time. The 70 millimeter aperture is amazing. I mean, I've got a pair of these, and they're probably one of the better binoculars that I have, even though I use my 10 by 50s the most. That's probably the ones I use the second most of the 25 by 70s. And you get 2 70 millimeter telescopes glued together for the price of one. So if you were to look and say 130 millimeter aperture, 500 millimeter focal length, with a 20 millimeter eyepieces, guess what? 25 power. Or you take a 70 millimeter refractor with a 500 millimeter focal length and a 20 millimeter eyepiece. Excuse me, and what do you get? 25 power. Or you can buy the 25 power 70 millimeter binoculars for a lower price. Excuse me. And you get stereo quality. So you can't beat it. So if you start doing astronomy, why not start with a pair of binoculars? And that's all I got to say about that. Where I lose along.
I know. When you talk about astronomy, it chokes you up. So we know it's hard.
That's
what can you do? I just don't talk, and then I'm good.
So somebody on here posted, where's the comment?
Yeah.
Deb, I want to get me some binoculars out of the many on Amazon. Need some recommendations. So, like 10 by 50s are a great start for people.
They're good handheld.
They're lightweight. They're handheld. You
Yeah.
can get a nice look at things around the sky. Learn the night sky that way. Comfortable in the chair. The 15 by 70s or the 25 by 70s, you certainly do need some type of a mount to use them comfortably, I'll say.
Yes.
And the 15 by 70s, I've seen them as low as $79 at Canadian Tire too. So the 15 by 70s, 15 times power and 70 millimeter up there, same as what Mike was showing with the 25 by 70s. So maybe a 10 by 50 would be a good set to take a look at, and they're about $50 or so on Amazon. So
Mark's got a good one too. What's a department store?
Oh yeah, true. Online. I mean, so did not know about the Canadian Tire deal. Yeah, take a look. Keep an eye out there, Deb, because they do have them on sale quite often there. I'll say, yeah. So yeah, I would say everybody who wants to get into stargazing should have at least a pair of binoculars, and even us. I've got 3 pair. You guys got a number of pair, and it's something you always carry with you. Like you're always going to have a pair of binoculars if you're out stargazing, right? So
it's really, what they're really good for is when you're trying to find a comet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ever nice for that.
Yeah. Or the very thin moon, crescent moon that we were looking at, or the Pleiades star cluster is beautiful in that.
Everything that I've looked at in a telescope, I can see in a pair of binoculars. It's smaller, might not have quite the definition, but I can see it.
So. And of course, it goes without saying all the vinyl bud targets. So,
Well, yeah.
yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Paul's going to carry us on to refractors.
Yeah. So, so the whole point behind what we're doing tonight is to give you a little bit of education, because I mean, like like Mike said on his presentation earlier, that what are the most common questions that we get, and the most common question is, what should I buy? That's the very first thing that comes out of most people who don't have a telescope because they don't know what to buy. So what our job is to educate you a little bit on what you are buying when you do buy a telescope. So I'm going to cover refractors. Now refractors, because there's a variety of different types of telescopes out there. There's refractors and there's Newtonians, and then there's compound telescopes like Schmidt-Cassegrains, Maksutovs, and that sort of stuff. Then you get into Ritchie-Chrétien. There's all kinds of different designs. So I'm going to talk about refractors. Refractors are the typical little telescope you see when you buy a telescope. I'm using this because it's nice and small. I can kind of use this as a starting point.
Hang on, Paul.
When we think of telescopes, this is the first thing that you think of. You automatically think of that little alien or Martian guy on Bugs Bunny looking through one of these, right? So, and that's kind of what Galileo Galilei started with, was a telescope, not much bigger than this, to be totally frank. A little bigger, but not much. And so a refractor basically is a type of telescope that's got a lens on one end and basically an eyepiece on the other end, if you're going to use it for observing. So the light goes through the telescope and then basically comes out here, then you put an eyepiece on it and you enjoy the night sky with it. So they come in a variety of sizes and stuff. So I'm going to tell you what you shouldn't buy first. And that's one of the ones Mike showed you on his slide, which is one of these. That's that ED70 telescope. Pretty soon you're putting cables on it. You're putting screws in it because there's things falling apart on you. You get your focuser out to a certain point. Let's keep going. Oh boy, I'm starting to get the focus. Uh-oh, my focuser doesn't work anymore. So this is kind of what you end up buying when you get those, what we think are reasonable. And we're not being snub-nosed about people having a budget. That's not it at all. But it's just if you are on a limited budget, then you really need to be a little more savvy with what you're getting. Because if you get something like this and it goes in the corner, then you've wasted your hard-earned money. So so these ones that have a lot of plastic in them, they have nothing written in the front. They don't tell you anything about the telescope itself. There's usually, it's usually a little bit of an indicator. And these ones are pretty cheap. You buy these and you you can throw them in a backpack. In fact, some of them come with backpacks, for a couple of $100, $150. So, you won't get much of a view with that. And then what you do see through it, because the optics are so poor, it's going to be, it's going to have a lot of chromatic aberration. And what I mean by that is false color. So if you're looking at the moon, you're going to get fringes around the moon. Bright stars will have color fringes around it. And you won't have real good clarity going out to the edges of what you're trying to look through the eyepiece, because you won't have good clarity in the glass. So that's kind of what you kind of want to avoid if you can. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what, or I'm going to try to show you a picture of what you need to look for. Let me get it up on my screen first. I guess I went over to that screen. And let me show you what you need to know. And it's opened up on this screen. There we go. I'm just going to share my screen if I can figure out how to do it. Window, that one, share. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a refractor and basically how it works. So basically we're out in the night sky and we have whatever we're looking at. Could be a galaxy, could be a nebula, it could be the moon, could be anything. It's creating light. That light passes through a lens, and the lens takes that light that's coming through straight, and it kind of bends it, and it bends it all down to a point, like this, and then that's where all of that light converges, and it starts going the other way into our eyepiece. And the eyepiece is how we see, and so it's like an eyepiece is really just a smaller lens that magnifies the light that you're seeing coming through the front of the telescope to begin with. And usually on a telescope, there's a little focuser, so you can roll it back and forth. to get it in focus. Now, with refractors, there's different types. Just 1 second, I'm going the wrong way. There we are. So there's three things when you're looking for a refractor that you want to look for. You want to figure out, first of all, is it just a real basic achromat that just has no ED glass in it? And if it is, what's going to happen is that telescope, as that light passes through that lens, it's going to, and like anything that goes through a lens, it breaks it into 3 points of light or 3 colors. And all those 3 colors will converge at different spots. So in a single lens like this one, you're going to have a breakup of light, and you're not going to know quite where to focus, because if I focus on the green, then my red and my blue's out of focus. If I focus on the blue, then my green, my red's out of focus. And this is where you get those false colors in and around your objects that you look at. So so the first thing you want to look at is, okay, if I'm going to buy a doublet, I want to buy a doublet that has ED glass in it. The ED glass is really going to help with contrast, sharpness, and it's going to help focus points together. Now, a doublet won't converge all 3 light colors together, but it will converge 2. And it's usually the green and the red, and then the blue is the one that's left over. So you can buy little filters, little fringe filters, and put on your eyepieces, and then you can take care of a lot of that color. But you will still get some false color in a doublet telescope. Now, the triplet, this is the one that if you can get one of these, if they're within your budget, the triplet is basically, what I mean by doublet, first of all, is that there are 2 lenses that are in the telescope helping converge that light. In a triplet, there's actually 3, and the reason there's 3 because each one is responsible to the end result to get all 3 of those light colors converging at one point. When you can do that, then you won't have any false color. Everything will look sharp, crisp, contrasty, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to look for refractors, look for the single, the doublet, or the triplet. You're going to see probably more doublets and triplets than anything else that's out there. So have a look at the doublet and have a look at the triplet, see the difference in price, and then at least you'll have a little bit of idea why you would pay a little bit more for a triplet over a doublet and that sort of thing. So again, there's basically how light through a telescope works, just a bigger version of what we already talked about. As the light comes through, all of those lights will converge at different points. And that's why we need to have the corrective glass so that it kind of focuses it all in at the same point so that you're getting a good clear view. All right, I'm going to turn off the sharing for a moment. There we go. And so that's basically, when you're looking at refractors, those are the 3 part of the key elements you're looking for. The other things that you're looking for, now this is another small, inexpensive refractor. You can't get them anymore, but it was by a company called Orion. And Orion went out of business not that long ago, but they were around forever. And these guys, I bet you anybody who's an astronomer has got a piece of Orion gear somewhere. And when they made these are just little 80mm refractors. And what I mean by 80mm is the objective lens right here is 80mm across. So that's basically the one of the specs that you're going to look for. The other spec you're going to look for is the focal length. Now, I can't see it on this one because I got it covered with my ring, but just give me a second. Mike, you might know it already.
I think they're 500.
400.
400, close.
Yeah. So you're going to see, oh, actually, I could show you that here. I'm telling it. I'm hiding what you should be seeing. So when you go look for a telescope, you're going to look for those specifications. So I don't know if you can see that or not. It's pretty hard to see. Is that in focus?
Yep.
That is reflecting. That's
yeah.
So right there it says 80mm. Yeah, 80mm there, and right across from the 80mm, that thing out of the way, it says 400. So the larger number will be your focal length. In other words, that's the native focal length of this telescope. And like how you have a camera lens, it can go from 70 to 300. Well, it has a variable focal length. This one has a fixed focal length at 400mm. You can alter it with eyepieces and Barlows and all that kind of stuff. But in any event, so that's the spec you're going to look for. So when you see these ones, like Mike was saying in his thing about, yeah, it's 675 power. There's nothing around here. In our skies won't let you see that anyway, very clearly. So don't get fooled by that spec. The spec that you want to look at is basically is the focal length itself, the aperture, because the aperture and the focal length is going to determine how much light's getting into your telescope. That power stuff, the magnification stuff, that'll come into play when you're trying to figure out when I put my lens in using a mathematical formula, how much power am I going to get into my scope? So it has a factor from what your telescope is giving you in focal length and what your eyepiece is. And there's a little math you do, and you can figure out how much power it is. And you'd be surprised how much 200 power is. It's a lot. You can see a lot. I don't think I've ever looked through 675, to be honest. So anyway, so that's another little telescope. These ones aren't made, but you can buy these. This is a doublet, and you can buy these for usually around $300. So they're a good value for a nice little refractor. And I'll just show you one more. For those who want to get into a little bit of astrophotography, this is one of the smallest little astrographs you're ever going to see. This has actually got 4 elements of glass in it. So this one's what they call it's a quad or a Petzval design. And so there's 2 elements of glass in the front, 2 elements of glass in the back. And this is using what they call a helical focuser. So as I spin this back and forth, just like a camera lens, the whole body of the lens moves back and forth. And because it's corrected, you don't need to put flatteners on the back or anything like that. You just stick in your telescope and then dial it in so that it's focused. Once it's focused, this little baby, it's pretty amazing what it'll do. It's got a nice little knob. You just loosen that off here, and then you can rotate. There we go. You can rotate your camera to whatever angle you need. Because lots of times, how many times have we taken a picture, say of Orion, and we shot it sideways instead of widthways, so we don't get the whole thing in. So this will allow you to rotate your camera so that you can get the maximum best possible angle on whatever your target is. So that's kind of a nice little feature. Also on the back of this, you probably won't be able to see it, but there's those screws that you're seeing right up here. So those are actually tilt screws. So if you do have a camera and you're having trouble with your stars, not being quite good on one angle or the other, sometimes it's just the camera's not tilting right. So you can actually adjust the tilt on it. When you get these, they've got a neat little thing in the front. Focusing is always a bit of a problem. So with these ones, they have a built-in batten-off mask. So basically, just take the lens cap off. You got your mask on. Put your mask on the end of the telescope, and then away you go. Then you go ahead and do your focus and get really accurate focusing. Take that off, and you have another nice night under the stars. Virtually no weight to them at all. And this one here is 250 millimeter focal length, so it's really, really wide. In fact, it's that white one I just showed you was 450, so you can get even more picture of the sky with a telescope like that. Now, this is version 2 of that. There's a new version of this one out by William Optics. These are called the Red Cat telescope series, and they used to be just the Red Cat 51. But now they got the 51, the 61, the 71, and I think maybe even up to 90 or something. So, so the new version, instead of having that helical focuser on it, it actually has one of the dial focusers, like you see in this. So it's more of a focuser like that. And the reason they went that way is because everybody's using them for astrophotography, and everybody's using those electronic focusers now. You can use an electronic focuser on that one, but you got to get a belt and all that kind of stuff. So now they've converted it over to these. So I don't think they make those ones anymore. So I think those are kind of defunct. But the whole point is the size of it, the compactness of it. It fits on a tracking mount. You don't need to buy a $2,000 mount for it. You can buy a $400 or $500 tracking mount, and it's just an absolutely wonderful thing for astrophotography. One last thing, if you don't want to get into that expense, if you have a camera like most of us do, you can buy yourself a really nice, they would consider these astrophotography quality lenses. This is made by a company called Rokinon, which makes also Samyang. And this one is called the Rokinon 135 f2. And this lens is, I've seen more photos with this lens. It's just unbelievable. You take it, pop it on a camera, pop it on a tripod, and you can get some great photos with this. Now, to buy this brand new in Canada, right now is less than $600. So I mean, it's if you buy lenses at all, you'll know lenses are quite expensive. But this one is very, very reasonable. It's a manual lens, which means you have to focus it yourself. But for photography, nighttime photography, that's what you're going to do anyway. And it's a prime lens, so it's got one focal length, which is 135 millimeters, and it's f2, so it really, really captures light very, very quickly. So it's probably the most popular astrophotography lens that's out there for those who want to capture a lot of targets. Now, if you're using a full frame camera, you can get both in its entirety, the heart and the soul nebula in one photo with this on a full frame lens. And Andromeda Galaxy, it's all kinds of space around it. So it's a really nice lens for that. I bought it for Ro Fuki. I'm going to get my really cool shot of that coming up because I see more photos of that taken with this lens, and it just come out absolutely wonderful. So anyway, so under $600 for that. Other than that, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. A little bit about refractors. Look at what kind of glass you're buying. Is it a doublet? Is it a triplet? What's the focal length? Make sure it's got decent hardware on it. And if you don't want to go that route, look for some camera lenses. But that one is the best value on the planet as far as I'm concerned. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Refractors are the classic, I guess. They are the ones that give you the best view for sure.
Galileo.
Nice and crisp.
Right?
Yeah. There's a couple of things here. Mike, I'm going to go back to you. Somebody asked about what's the quality of the glass like on inexpensive binoculars?
I haven't found it. What I would say an average pair of binoculars that hasn't had decent glass, like anything else, you can buy a cheap pair for $20. And what do you get?
Yeah.
Right. You buy something that's relatively normal quality, anywhere from say 75 to $100 is a decent price to pay for a decent pair of binoculars. I think you get a decent pair.
Yeah.
So if that answers the question.
I think it does. All right, I'm going to go really quickly because we're going to run out of time here.
Oh, we got all kinds of time.
Okay, my talk was going to be a little bit about reflectors because that's probably what I use the most of. You can see here behind me. And there's a type that I use the most of, and it's because I find that they give you the best bang for your buck. Here's a little Dobsonian, I'll say a little reflector telescope on a Dobsonian mountain. What is a reflector? Well, take a look down there. You can see that there's a mirror at the bottom. The mirror is a concave mirror, so light passes down through the telescope, hits the concave mirror, it comes up into a point, basically hits a small mirror here, which is at a diagonal, and it points out to the eyepiece. So you look in here instead of looking in this end. And the thing about these is that they're a lot cheaper than a refractor because mirrors are cheaper to make than lenses are. So that's the basic reason. But also the downside of these type is that they have to be collimated every once in a while. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I look at that front little mirror, it has 3 little screws here in the front, and if I look at the back here, I'll see there are 2 sets of screws back here. One is for tightening to keep it locked in place, and the other 3 are for adjusting. So you need to have both mirrors looking at each other properly. And if they're not looking at each other exactly right, then you will get out of focus and you won't be able to focus anything in your eyepiece. So there is a device called a laser collimator, or collimator, I'll say, and you can attach it into your eyepiece. And there's a method which is easily defined online on YouTube or anything else, on how to align your 2 mirrors together to get the best view. So I would say that the reflector telescope is really the biggest bang for your buck, if you want to talk about it that way. So you get the largest amount of light capturing glass for the least amount of money. Now, one thing about a reflector too is that because it's a concave mirror, it's going to show your view upside down. But I mean, what's upside down in space, right? When you're looking at the moon, eventually you get to find out that it's not that bad, and other objects in space are the same way. But these little guys here are little tiny Dobsonian reflector telescopes. I would recommend that nothing really under. This is a 4.5 inch, so that would be the minimum I would say to use for a reflector if you want to get views of anything that are of any quality at all.
Can you pin yourself, Chris?
I can not. I don't know how to do it on this Google Meet, so I'll just leave it. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are the biggest bang for your buck. They come with a finder normally, but there are different types of finders. That's something we can talk about in another program. But basically, what I'm going to do with the finder is find my spot in the sky, align my finder with my eyepiece, and then I can, every time I look in the finder and find an object, I should see it in the center of my eyepiece. So that's something we can talk about later too. There are different styles of these. On different mounts. We haven't talked about mounts yet. They're going to be talked about next week, really. But here's another one here. This is just a larger one. And a second here. Point down this way. This is a 130 millimeter. So same idea, just a bit larger. And I would say that that's about the size if you want to be as your minimum. If you want to get Saturn's rings, and everybody does, right? Nice views of the moon, nice views of deep sky objects. Remember now, the larger the aperture, the more light it can collect, so you can see things that are farther away. This one is actually sitting on a small, very simple mount, and that's what I like about reflectors, is that you don't invest a whole lot of money in the mounts necessarily. Your money is going into the optics. So they do give you the biggest bang for the buck. I got several over here. I'm going to do this one out of the way for a second. Show you that even the tabletop units are suitable for a regular tripod. So I got a small piece of plywood made up out back in the garage, and it's made for these. And all I would do is I set my telescope on the tripod like this, and then here we go. And then I can use the telescope at whatever height I want to be at, right? So it is adjustable. So they're not just made to sit on a picnic table, and you can set them outside, set them on your lap if you want, but they are adjustable for height wise for adults to be able to use as well. So now this is the 4.5 inch Orion. That's a very popular one. It's called the Star Blast, and the other one back here in the back is actually the 5-inch Star Wars. 5-inch collapsible dog. So you see how this one extends out. Maybe I can bring that one ahead with me. Just can't get too far away from the camera. I need more space. There. So there gives you a better idea. There's the second glass, the secondary pointed up here. So you can see how that's pointing out this way to the eyepiece. But these ones are adjustable, so you can move it in and out. So if you have a camera and you can't get focused properly with your camera in here, then you can actually make your adjustments to get to your focus. It gives you enough travel. Again, very, very simple to use. It's either up and down or it's left and right, and that's how you find things in the sky. All completely manual mount, but I like reflectors because they do give you the biggest bang for the buck, and they do give you the most light. Now, I do have a small refractor too that I like to offer when I'm offering a live view of the moon, because it's nice and crisp and clear. But with a refractor, if I want to gather light, then I'm going that direction. So that's the three. Well, that's the refractor and the reflector. We haven't talked about SCTs, but they're another topic for another day, I guess, which are really just a combination of both.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Next week, it's all about mounts. We're going to pretend that those optic tubes now are sitting on different types of mounts: a manual mount, go-to mounts, and how they work.
Yeah, maybe next week we can talk a little bit about visual astronomy, using both optics and using those little smart telescopes.
Yeah,
because those are well within the budget of most people,
mm-hmm.
and it's something that families can enjoy, and they're in that price point of a Christmas gift for sure.
Mm-hmm. Becoming very popular for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, just looking to see if there are cute little visual telescopes. There. Yeah, no other questions. Okay, so let's move on then, Paul. How about we go with a night watch
Okay.
top? And if you guys have any more comments or questions, just send them off to me, and I can talk to these guys later on if we need to.
All right. So if you're looking for a nice Christmas gift, the Night Watch book is what we and it's not that we have any affiliation with Night Watch at all. It's just that I find personally it's probably the best book for beginning astronomers or for astronomers who are have been around for a little while, but either need some refreshing or you dig deep inside, and I bet you'll find something you didn't know. So anyway, it's got some really good stuff in it. Tonight, I'm just going to talk about keeping on the topic of telescopes. That's what it's all about. And I'm just going to read the paragraph here because it's just right there, that little section. So I'll just get right into it. So the question you hear all the time and the question that you see when you go to the department store, like Mike mentioned, is telescope owners always want to hear two key questions. How much did it cost and how powerful is it? So the query about the power focuses on a very misunderstood aspect of telescope performance. Claims huge power capabilities are almost totally meaningless. Now, there are three distinct types of telescope power. There's light gathering, there's magnifying, and then there's resolving. Least important is the magnification, and that's the one that they focus on the most because it's the biggest number, so you think you're going to get, a Hubble look at something. This little tiny thing is about that big around. So the least most important is magnification, yet magnifying power alone is often used as a selling point for small telescopes, as explained in more detail, and they get into that a little bit more into another section of the book. Now, magnification is determined by dividing the focal length of the telescope by the focal length of the eyepiece. So, for example, if you had a 2,000 millimeter telescope, focal length on your telescope, and you had a 25 millimeter eyepiece, you're going to end up with 80 power, so 80 times. So that's when you're looking through 2,000 millimeter telescope with a 25 millimeter eyepiece, and you're only seeing 80. That's a lot of stuff you're seeing. So to get to 675, hello, give me a break. The most significant ingredient is light gathering ability, and that's got to do with the aperture of the telescope itself. In other words, how big is that circle that we're trying to gather light through? So the most significant ingredient is light gathering. For example, in a 2-inch 50 millimeter or a 4-inch 100 millimeter telescope used at the same magnification, the Orion Nebula looks about the same size. Okay. However, the light gathering power of the 4-inch telescope is 4 times greater than the 2-inch telescope, so the nebula will be 4 times brighter. Okay, so you're getting more brightness from it automatically. This is an important difference since most astronomical objects are quite dark, right? They're very dim. Given adequate light gathering ability, there are other limits on magnification. The practical magnification limit is about 50 times per inch. So if you've got an 8-inch telescope, 8 5s or 400 times, right? So therefore, the upper limit for that 2-inch refractor is 100 times. When such a telescope was pushed to 150 or more, the images are grossly over amplified, exceed the 3rd or 4th factor on our list, resolving power, and the ability of the instrument to discriminate fine detail. So that's what happens. Once you push it beyond what you can see, it'll just turn into a mushy mess and it won't look very good. Excessive magnification produces fuzzy images and makes the instrument almost impossible to use. So tiny jiggles created when the focusing knob is touched or movements generated by a breath of wind caused by the target object will quiver to a lurch. Now that's when we're getting into mounts. So if you've got a telescope that's sitting on a mount and you get a little bit of wind factor going, the mount, if it's not a good one, it's going to just shake no matter what. But the more magnification that you have, the more that shake that's going to be evident. The faster things are going to pass through your telescope, things that are moving. So there's quite a few things that go on with magnification, and it really needs to be harnessed correctly. If all of this doesn't discourage the power-hungry tyro, then the atmospheric turbulence, which is our seeing conditions, that are frequently create poor seeing conditions, will be the final damper. So the 50 times per inch limit applies only in good seeing, which a lot of us don't have. We live on the coast. We have a lot of moisture in the air. We have a lot of stuff and turbulence going on. So the seeing will certainly limit what we can use for telescope in terms of power. So in summary, if a telescope advertising trumpets, power capabilities well beyond the limits of even the best possible optical systems, look elsewhere. Great advice from here, and they will, in this book, they get into all the different types of telescopes, all the things you need to know, how you can look at your where you're living, where you live, your conditions, and what is appropriate for you and your conditions. All in here.
Awesome, Paul. True. Yeah, I mean, any scopes that are down around the 200 beginner type or we used to call department store scopes. I guess maybe there aren't department stores around, but they all read on the box. It's always big print, 675 power or 500 power.
Yeah.
I haven't looked through a telescope that's been any higher than 350 power at any time, and that was with crystal steady skies, right? So yeah, so you can't imagine. And if you're using a manual mount like one of these, you're looking at a Saturn that's going to pass your eye faster than you could even adjust it. So like 300 times power, that's really moving.
Chasing the moon.
Yeah. Well, good points. So that's our topic for this week, optics, and we're going to move into Bino Bud next. Binocular of the week.
Boon.
So now you've decided you're going to buy binoculars for a Christmas gift. You're going to say, all right, you told me to buy binoculars. What am I going to look at? Well, you're going to start saving all these Bino Bud targets. So binocular target of the week with Bino Bud this week is the Eiffel Tower. Well, if you've never been to France, you don't have to go there. You can see the Eiffel Tower from your backyard. So the Eiffel Tower, or Firo number 6, thus named because of its tapered form, reminiscent of this famous cultural icon. It's composed of 16 stars, 8.2 and fainter, with a bright one being a deep yellow. Well, how would I find it in the sky? Well, we're lucky enough where we are that you can actually get to see it twice in a night if you were out in a clear night like tonight. So if you went out at 6 o'clock and oriented yourself at 330 degrees north-northwest, or if you missed the 6 o'clock one, you can get up again at 1 o'clock and orient yourself 30 degrees north-northeast. You can look up and you can find the Eiffel Tower. And it's right in this area of the Big Dipper. Everybody knows where the Big Dipper is when you look up, you see the handle. Well, if you've looked up and seen Mizar and Alcor, well, you're going to be able to find the Eiffel Tower right in that area. So, you look here, there's Mizar and Alcor. I forget what the star is called right off the bat, but if you drew an equilateral triangle between the second, or Mizar and Alcor, and the third star in the handle, then you're going to come across the Eiffel Tower. You can't miss it. And it does. It kind of looks like an upside-down Eiffel Tower. See? What does it look like? Well, there it is, the curve. There's a picture I took of it the other night. There's Mizar and Alcor. There's the Eiffel Tower upside down right there. So, easy target to find. It does stand out. 10 by 50 binoculars. Yeah, it's slightly small, but it still stands out. You can see it. If you can get Mizar and Alcor in the bottom corner of your view, then you'll get the Eiffel Tower up near the center. Compared to the full moon, I'd say it's about 3/4 of the size of a single full moon. So not a small target, but not a big target either. And here we go. Are you ready for this one? What does the Earth say to tease the other planets? Hey, guys. Hey, get a life? Yeah, there we go. Anyway, that's your target of the week by Bino Bud.
Yeah.
Hey, that's one thing they can't say.
See, you had a picture of that one in the backyard, so we know that Bino Bud targets are really real.
I have started now for the past 5 Bino Bud targets, posting each one at the end of our show tonight. Another picture of that will be posted on my Facebook page.
Yeah, saw that. Cool.
I can find them. Anybody can find them. Trust me.
Okay, a question here for you, Paul. Always curious, who are the women images in Paul's background? They should get notoriety, sis.
I'll keep that a secret.
Okay.
Sure, there are astronomers that nobody asked about the planets in mine.
No, no.
And somebody else here said, "Thank you for the binocular recommendations. They just ordered a pair from Canadian Tire." Oh, cool. Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
Gulp. Yeah. Oh, I think you'll be
Yeah.
you'll be happy.
In fact, at Canadian Tire, they have a lot of the Celestron products.
They do.
And they've got the Next YZ if you want to get that phone adapter to
Yeah.
hook up your thing, and actually good prices too. I think
They're
they're
good
still like
prices.
$70 or so at Canadian Tire, somewhere thereabouts. So
Yeah. They are. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Paul. Do you want to get to Rosanna's fun fact?
All right, we can. All right, let's see if we can make this happen. All right, and here is.
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Hey, welcome back, Rosanna, for another fun fact, and I can't wait to get into it. So here we go. So Rosanna writes, "Hi, Thomas. Hi, Thomas. I can't even read anymore. Hi, Paul. I promise this week fun fact will be neither disheartening nor disturbing like last week's, or at least not in the same way. Since we're all gearing up, possibly literally, for Christmas with astronomical ideas for gift giving or hoping for a new scope under the tree, I thought I would do a little rabbit holing on telescope collectors. All right, let me just find the photos. I can get that up and running first. There we go. Okay, I'll make that big so you can see it. Yeah, so telescope collectors, where we go? Yeah, apparently asking Google or Yahoo's AI bots who in the world currently or even historically has had the largest collection of telescopes is a question that has not been asked before. And I found that hard to believe as aperture envy exists everywhere. When I refined the question a bit and used Guinness's World Records query, oh, a second, I'm going to find which way this goes. There we go.
No, Paul, we're not seeing
yeah.
a change.
Sorry?
We're not seeing anything change.
We're still seeing Rosanna.
Yeah. We're still seeing Rosanna's fun fact.
Oh, this picture's not coming up?
No.
No.
Oh, hang on.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing for a minute. And let me try sharing again. See what happens. Window. What do you see now?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, we're back.
I don't know what that has to do with telescopes, but
Well, that's like we're going to get into that. So when I refined the question a bit and used Guinness's World Records in the query, I received this. Sabrina Dossman from Illinois has over 1,500 squishmallows, a world record in 2023. Obviously, AI did not understand my question, and although I love to relate unrelated things, even I couldn't make out the connection between telescopes and squishmallows. But I am persistent, if nothing else, and finally tunneled into some fun facts. Now see, tell me if my picture changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The largest gathering of major telescopes is located at the Kitt Peak National Observatory in Arizona, USA. Kitt Peak is a 2,096 meter or a 6,876 foot mountain whose excellent observation conditions and atmospheric clarity have attracted the construction of 24 major telescopes on its summit since 1958. Currently, there are 22 optical and radio telescopes. Now, the Kitt Peak National Observatory was founded in '58. It's the home of what was the largest solar telescope in the world and many large astronomical telescopes of the late 20th century in the United States. The observatory was administered by the National Optical Astronomy Observatory from the early 1980s until 2019, after which it was overseen by NOR Lab. Let's see if I can flip the next picture. There we go. In June 2022, the Contreras fire led to the evacuation of Kitt Peak. The fire reached the summit at 2 a.m. on Friday, on June the 17th. Fortunately, this photo looks worse than the actual final result. Luckily, one of the four non-scientific buildings, including a dormitory, were lost in the fire. 15 months later, in September 2023, the observatory reopened to the public. But this still isn't really the path I was on. Then almost by accident, I found Ed Ting. And Ed Ting has everything. 2 months ago, he released the state of the collection for this 2025 video. Now, who is Ed Ting? He is a well-known telescope reviewer and astrophotographer, but he wasn't always. He started out as an employee in a fast food restaurant at the minimum wage in the U.S. and was at that time making $3.35 an hour. He was paid $2.85 an hour, and it took a long time to save up to $319 for his first telescope. So there he is there, the $319 Meade that he bought way back in the day. So what would a 6-inch Meade cost today? So that's a very good telescope. There we go. So which one is he talking about? Well, you'll have to watch the video to find out and to count the telescopes. So if you go onto YouTube and look up Ed Ting, he does videos on everything. I watch him a lot, and you should certainly go check him out if you want to know about telescopes. So he has a Takahashi collection as well as a Maksutov collection. Now I think, there we go. I think he has, and he's very funny, by the way, dry humor guy. Here as he heads to his next collection, he mentions how he really doesn't want any more. Really, please, no one give him any, except for the ETX 105. That one he would accept. I bet somebody has already sent him an ETX 105 his way. And I really like his living room decor. This is his living room, believe it or not. So in the next still notice, the little star blast on the right, which is just like mine. Now, I don't know if you can see one on there. It must be on the next photo. There it is right there. That's the little star blast. He states it has been cannibalized for parts, but he feels sorry for it, so it gets to stay in the collection. The previous collection video 3 years ago had 41 scopes in it. The largest scope in this picture is actually a friend's, but the friend left it with him over 2 years ago, and so it has entered his collection. Nice. Oh, okay. So, and there's also telescopes elsewhere in this channel. So he's showing some refractors. These are some astrophotography rigs, and here's some photos. So, so he has one of the best optics of any scope that I own. Why does it say that? Has one of the best scope? Okay, it's just a little screenshot of something he was saying, but it's not the full sentence. I am not telling which scope he is talking about right now. And let me go to the next photo. There we go. And yes, Ed also has an Astroscan. He was delighted to see it turn up near the end. So he's got an Astroscan, isn't that wild? So my favorite line in the whole video is probably about his little scope, which he called the cosmetically challenged. Let me see if I can find that for you. There it is there. And but he, like he said, you're not supposed to look at it. You're supposed to look through it. So now the challenge to our club members, how about a walkthrough of video of each of your telescope collections? Although napkins may be needed to supply for viewers, as there may be some drooling and crying, it sure would be fun. And who says a connection can't be found between Squishmallows and astronomy? And that's this week's.
Oh my.
Somewhere. Oh my gosh, we had a lot of photos today.
Which one? Oh no, Mr. Bill.
I can't see if it works. There we go.
There we go.
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Yay.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Squishmallows, whoever
I
thought
got
they
the actual squishmallow things. They look cool.
it's funny how that ended up on the photo that what the heck's that for?
Yeah.
No, no.
Ed Ting is a great, I've watched a lot of his videos. They're
Yeah,
excellent.
he doesn't pull any punches. If something is not up to snuff, he'll tell you.
Great for beginners. Great for beginners.
Yeah, well, for beginners and for those who are, enthusiasts. If you're getting into some high-end telescopes, he'll talk about those too.
It's nice to know I'm halfway to his collection with 22.
Indeed.
All right. Give me a second. I'm gonna have the audience trip out here for a second, and I'm gonna get in here and get my photos up. I got them here.
Hey.
Hang on.
Did we answer the question about the women in the photographs?
Oh, I don't think we did.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're going to answer it as much as we're going to.
Yeah. They're both of them are New Brunswick personalities, and I was just fortunate enough to be able to photograph them.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if you ever met them in real life, you may not recognize them.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's amazing what you can do with makeup and cameras and all that wonderful stuff.
Mm.
And with those, we were trying to recreate certain time frames, as you can see with the top one, and the bottom one was just a little bit more about personality and stuff. And I've got some photos I could show you. You wouldn't even think they're the same people,
Yeah.
you know. So, but anyway, they just happen to be photos that I like, and I just had them printed, and that's what I put up there. So.
And you do have a studio, Paul, right? That you do this.
Yeah,
stuff.
I
So,
do a photography studio, and I do portraiture, and I create scenes and time zones and all kinds of stuff.
Main Street Memories.
Main Street Memories, right here in
Yes,
Hampton,
sir.
Brunswick.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
You should be showing one of your calendars tonight too.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Am I?
You should. Oh, you should be showing it.
Oh no, Mr. Bill.
Okay.
All right, we'll do that a little later.
Okay. Let's finish the photos up. Okay. So we have a few photos here tonight. This one's from David Smart. He says, "Hi Chris. Here are some pictures from last night. Night started out with some clouds, but at the end of it, it was fairly nice for me. We have the moon. We do so.
Yes, sir.
And next up is going to be a comet.
Oh, he's been doing a lot.
C2025 K1. He has, yeah. C2025 K1. This is with his C star.
Yes, sir. Very nice.
And then DSO NGC 281.
There you go.
Nicely done, yeah. And finally NGC 2175. He said to finish up my night.
Yes, sir.
Said I would have captured more, but the gods of the clouds said it was enough.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, always. Good stuff. Thanks, David, for those.
58 minutes on that target, so it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, it does.
Ooh.
Yeah. Very nice.
Good stuff. All right, I'm going to go to Mark Curry's capture of the crescent moon here the other day. So, thanks, Mark.
There it is. There's a little teddy bear I like that you can't see.
Yeah. Nope.
Nope. Well, it's because I can't use binos. That's why. And Chris Benoit's captured moonshine. Kind of like to push it to the brightness so we can see the moon details, even though it's a dark or limited from light. But you can.
Were you having a drink when you caught that? I wonder. Moonshine?
Moonshine, yeah.
Isn't that Earthshine?
Yeah, I think it is. Thanks, Chris. Good shot, Chris. Mr. Powell's captures here the waxing gibbous moon the other night.
There it is. Nice detail.
In the color.
Oh, there it is.
Mineral, yeah.
Very nice.
Nicely done, Mike.
Check that out the window.
I'm gonna go to a couple of some different ones. Ken Muscola sent this in.
Oh wow!
He says, "Hey Chris," he says, "images using my beta software that overlays distance and proper motions of stars that are in my images. Here's an example of two such images showing how the movement of stars in globular clusters tend to be going in one direction." So here's the image down here. Hope some of your viewers may find this interesting, he says. NGC 2506, which is this one, is an open cluster, while this one, NGC 1851, or Caldwell 73, is a globular cluster.
Wow.
So isn't that cool?
That's very
Yeah.
Highlighted in each cluster is a typical star with its Gaia DR3 catalog ID with its distance from Earth. So or Gaia, sorry. So Gaia has captured a lot of these. So when you're looking at this, it's not flat. It's 3D. It's 3D.
That's funny, eh? But don't you, Chris, have a rendering of the constellations as we look at them from different points of view?
Yeah, I do. Especially Orion. Orion is one that was that really stands out at you. But
yeah,
you can look ahead even in Stellarium. Set 1,000 years ahead and look at the big the change in Ursa Major shape of it, right? Because of the fact that they're all different distances away. But I thought that was pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, thanks for those, Ken. Okay, I'm going to go to quickly to a couple shots here from Jennifer. Jennifer ALG. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
She says here's a couple of
She was pointing northeast.
Very close, yeah.
Two 2 star trail shots to accompany the video I sent. So she sent a video here too. One is processed in normal mode, and the other one is in comet mode.
Yeah,
They're also using star stacks.
Hmm.
That's comet mode there.
Nicely done.
that's cool.
Okay, now I'm going to take the audience back to our transition scene for a second because I want to get out of that. And let's see if I can get the video up for Jennifer's video because she did have something there to show. Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen again. Sorry, that's all these little bumps around I got to do. Share and then bring this back to the audience. So you guys are seeing that okay? Yeah.
Andromeda right up top.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yep.
let's, here we go. Okay, so let's bring
There's
on
Jessica.
Jennifer's video here. Here we go.
Cassiopeia and Perseus climbing there.
Said on November the 11th, I made this video from shots I was taking for star trails. I was looking nearly due east, and you could see Andromeda near the top in the beginning. Then watch the Pleiades rise from the bottom center. Yeah, so there's Pleiades.
There's Taurus.
Yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Just
Nice
coming in the view. Nice.
Was that
Nice.
the only video she sent?
That's the only one she sent. Yeah.
So if you put that in star stacks, you can actually watch your star trails actually formulate.
I think that's the.
Yeah.
I think that's the photo she used for Star Stacks.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is rather than just seeing the time lapse of it, you'd actually be able to see the stars actually trailing, getting longer and longer and longer. You
Okay.
can watch the whole star trail formulate right to the point.
Oh, awesome.
It's very, very cool.
Well done. Thanks.
Very
for
nice.
that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing again. I gotta put my audience back to transition again. Sorry, because I gotta go back to it one more time. And, we're gonna go right into here, and then bring back our audience. Sorry, folks. Oop. Hang on. Where am I going to my share? Where's my share? And this one. There. That's what I
You're
want.
there.
And I'll go back to our audience again. Here we are. Okay. Yeah. So, as you know, if you'd like to send your images in, you can send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to have them up on the next broadcast. So, thank you for those entries. Let's go on just a quick look at what's happening this week. Wednesday night, December the 3rd, we have the moon that's greeting Pleiades. Now, that's the view through 10 by 50 binoculars, so they will fit together very close, actually, in a pair of 10 by 50s. Of course, the moon is going to be bright because it's the day before full moon. So bright moon, dimmer Pleiades, tough to get the two of them together, but maybe give it a shot. It's still a nice pair to check out binoculars together. Thursday, now December the 4th, is the full cold moon, or the moon is at perigee, or you can call it that stupid name, super moon.
Yeah.
That's the one that sticks with everybody, super moon.
Ooh,
Yeah. Moon rises in the east-northeast at 4 p.m. and the full moon actually arrives at 7:14 Atlantic time. So that's early, 4 p.m. moonrise. So
That's
yeah,
right.
you might not get to see a whole lot of contrast there, but you'll see it come up. Okay, and then from there we got this one. I meant to show that a little bit bigger, but I'm just going to show it quickly here. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. But here we go. Let's do this. Here we go. Look at this guy right here in the corner. So that's the AR 4294. That's the new sunspot coming around. It has a buddy right with it, 4296, that just started to appear around the corner. This one is about 8 Earth diameters across. It's already had some C flares and some M flares. We're waiting for an X class flare, but we'll have to see if that happens or not. So that's something to maybe look forward to a little bit later in the week.
yeah, it's
Or
be nice.
even
To get,
possibly next week.
a nice aurora, hey, before Christmas.
That'd be
That'd
nice.
be great.
Anybody catch the sun dogs this morning?
Oh no, it
I slept in.
Ah, so it was about just shortly after 8. I was driving out of Hampton, and there's 2 really nice long dogs on both
Oh,
sides of the sun. Oh man, it was awesome.
Wow.
I'm driving down the road. I'm trying to get a picture of it with my cell phone. You know, I'm on the highway, and I think, I better not do this.
That's why you need a self-driving car. See.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly it. But anyway, it was nice. It's always a thrill to see that.
Yes, sir. Just trying to get rid of my menu here. Yeah, hitting the closing music, and I don't want to do that.
Not gonna do it. No, sir.
Hang on.
Gonna do it.
I gotta drop my I gotta do something here. What's going on? Why am I not seeing that? Just at the very end of the show, of course.
Oh, my.
Talk amongst yourselves for a second, would you?
Oh, yeah, but we just get talking and then you shut us up.
Exactly.
There we go. Okay, I can do it here.
We gotta get that. We gotta get that cartoon. That's when I says whoa, I means whoa.
I paid my 50 cents to see a high diving act. A lot of people don't even know what we're talking about.
Exactly. That's scary.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just realized when we started this program, I was still in my 50s.
Really?
We started this 7 years ago. I was still in my 50s.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I think we all were. Maybe Chris wasn't, but.
No.
He's
I'm
an
the old guy here. Okay, well, and in closing tonight, we'd like to thank you all for joining us again. Remember, next week's show, we will be talking about mounts, different types of mounts. And then the following week, we're going to talk about accessories. So hopefully with the optics, mounts, and accessories, you'll have something to put underneath the tree from Santa. Number two, do love getting your photos, so send them in to astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to put them up on our next broadcast. Yay! Please let your friends and family know as well that we are here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube ready to entertain you with astronomy and the wonders of the night sky. So for now then, from Mike, Paul, Rosanna, and I, we wish you a safe and happy week, everybody. Wishing you lots of clear skies. I don't know if we're going to get them, but we'll try. And as I like to say, guys, open your eyes to view the skies and keep your scopes pointed up.
Point it up. December
everyone.
1st tomorrow, everybody. Get your Christmas shopping going.
Good night, everyone.